Hi there, it's Lisa Wilson with the Raw Food Institute. I would like to welcome you to this call. I'm so excited to be here with you talking about my favorite topic, which is raw foods, and my other favorite topic, which is essential oils, and how they can be used synergistically, and how, I've had the Raw Food Institute for many years, and it is my firm belief that raw food is some of the medicinal, most therapeutic, most outrageously healthy, beneficial food on the planet, and essential oils take that to the next level. I'm going to be talking about in this hour all about raw foods, but I'm also going to be talking about how we use essential oils at the Raw Food Institute, because they are our first aid kit, and we use them in so many ways. So I'm going to be showing you all about how to do that. So, secrets from the Raw Food Institute Healing Detoxification Center. Last year, 2013, we did win the medical awareness. I won the medical awareness for raw food because of all the physicians that I work with around the world. And we also, as a center, we won the Best Raw Vegan Retreat Center. I'm really proud of the results people get. You can go to my website and check out the blog, people that have healed from everything from cancer to diabetes, good results with Lyme. So, when you flood the body with nutrients and antioxidants, you can have some of the most profound effects. And I was working at an integrated medical practice, the largest integrated medical practice on the East Coast, NIHA, for many years. And what started happening, some of the people that would come there are the people among the sickest of the sick. So I knew for sure that what they needed was raw foods. But I'd already graduated from nutrition school, and I didn't know how to do some of these therapies. I didn't know how to grow sprouts. I didn't know how to grow wheatgrass or barley grass. I didn't know how to put them together in a medically therapeutic way in combination. So I had to learn from some of the top doctors in the country who are now my colleagues and my friends that I can call at any time. And started putting together therapeutic protocols. And at that time, you know what happened? They got better. Ridiculously fast. And some of the doctors there, some of the cancer doctors like Dr. Beals and Dr. McClure, what happened is they started shutting the door, pulling me in a room and saying, "What are you doing?" They started attending my seminars. We've grown bigger and bigger. We now host people from around the world, literally Germany, France, Mexico, Bermuda, Bahama, Africa, you name it. People are flying in from around the world to learn these therapeutic techniques. These are things that probably should be learned in elementary school, but they're not. This is about skill power. It's not about willpower. So again, welcome to this. I'm Lisa Wilson, daughter of two smokers that own Dairy Queens. And I share that because if I can do this, anybody can do this. I've been through, I've been overweight, had cystic acne, dubious breast lumps, had Graves' disease. I mean, you name it. And every single thing that I just listed, I have dealt with food and natural remedies. So the answers are there. We just have to seek them. This next hour is about total body reboot. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about all kinds of stuff, the way the raw food works in the body. But, I do a lot of presenting on oils around the country and raw foods, of course. I travel. I'm always traveling. And speaking around the country on main stages like Annie Appleseed and Raw Living Expo and mini corporations, stuff like that. People are lining up because we now know somebody or know somebody who has healed their body with raw and living foods and starts to feel so good. But what happens, I was just training a group of physicians in Washington, D.C. on how to integrate essential oils into their medical practice. And one of the doctors sitting there said, when you put medications in the body, these medications have side effects, very difficult, challenging side effects. And when you put one in the body and then put another one in the body, we have absolutely no idea how they're going to interact in the body. And usually the side effects are more severe and they even cause more side effects. But the beautiful thing about this is that he went on to say, when you put plants in the body, so the living foods, the salads, the sprouts, the grasses, the juices, and the essential oils, these actually have a synergetic effect in the body. and they actually work together and elevate one another. So this literally is a total body reboot, nourishing the body at a cellular level. I hope you all have a piece of paper to be able to take some notes. I want you to write down, why are you here today? Why did you tune into this class? What are you hoping to learn? What are you hoping to put into place? Because we can get all this information, but if we don't actually roll it into our life, we will absolutely not see any changes. So what are you here today to learn? And what would you like to be committed to take your health to the next level? I'm going to invite you to do this, to listen as if your life depends on it, because it does. There are a handful of classes. I consider the single most important classes that I teach. Green Juice Therapy is one. This is another. Why raw? Why the medicinal power of raw? And what can it do for our body? How to obtain outrageous results. So why am I here? I'm here, most importantly, I went to nutrition school because I'm a mother. I have 3 children. They were little when I went to nutrition school, 2, 4, and 6. And they're now 10, 12, and 14. So I'm here. I went to nutrition school. I didn't think I'd ever be practicing, let alone running, one of the best, I think, organizations, raw food, raw vegan retreat centers in the country. I'm here because I'm a mother. I'm here because my clients are among the sickest of the sick, and with raw food they get better. I'm here because I've watched people get their lives back, and I'm here because I want to help people get turned on to their highest purpose. So I'm going to kind of key into that point. It is the most important one to me. I do watch people get healthier all the time. You can go to my blog site. You can listen to people talking about how they've healed their cancers naturally, their diabetes naturally, and most importantly, they get turned on to their highest purpose. And I think that's what's most gratifying and fulfilling for me. So it is a great honor to be here with all of you today. We are the new leaders of this entire nation. So thank you so much for sharing your passions and your gifts. We are going to be the ones turning the health around of America and doing it together. We're going to be talking about green juice, living foods, advanced living therapies, toxicity levels. They're at an all-time high. And when living with a compromised immune system, we are truly unable to live the life we are destined to live. We are unable to fill our highest and greatest purpose, and we all have a purpose. Every single person here has a purpose, and today it's part of our journey today to know that you are surrounded by love. And how great would it be if we all felt completely loved and we all clearly knew our purpose? Which leads me to my next question. Can you, looking at the screen, tell the difference? They're both McDonald's burgers, between the hamburger on the left and the one on the right. The hamburger on the left is actually 6 years old. These foods, these fast foods, do not break down in our body. So for those of you who have teenagers in your life, there's a couple great videos that I can resource. You can go watch the 4-Year-Old Burger, and it's about a woman carrying around a Happy Meal, and she brings out the fries, which are 4 years old, and they should be moldy. They should be breaking down, and they don't. They look like they were just fried 5 minutes ago. They are greasy, they are oily, they are salty, and the color is the same. There's another one called the Bionic Burger. I encourage you to watch that. It's about a man who forgets about a hamburger in his pocket, finds it 1 year later, looks as if it was just cooked. So he has this idea to start a museum in his basement, which he does at 16 years old. And not even bugs will go to this, will touch this food. We'll go to this museum. We'll touch this food because it's not food. The United States of America, we now live in one of the most overfed, undernourished countries in the world. For the first time in American history, we are expected to live longer lives than our children, meaning life expectancy is decreasing, going the other direction. 70% of Americans are now overweight or obese, and this comes with a variety of health challenges, including heart disease, cancer, diabetes, autoimmune disease, and so many more. as a mother and formerly a health coach, I think this is one of the things that saddens me the most. I had two offices when I worked in Washington, D.C., one at the medical practice, one a home office. So my children are actually really, really healthy. I'm proud of them. Not a cavity among them, between all three of them. They're in amazing shape. They're all athletes. And they just have vibrant health. They don't get sick. They just don't get, half the class will be gone with this and that, and my kids just don't get sick. And we are now raising, again, what I was referred to as Generation X, then came Generation Y, and we are raising now what I call Generation Sick. And when I had my private practice, I would specifically see lots of 20 and 30-year-olds moving back in with their parents, not because of economic issues, but because of health issues. And I saw a lot of things like leaky gut, candida. Leaky gut, what that is, if you're not familiar, is basically, in a nutshell, it's a yeast infection in your small intestines. And what happens is, in our small intestines, if we have gut dysbiosis or an imbalance of healthy bacteria, probiotics, healthy bacteria, a yeast infection can start. And when this yeast infection puts down roots, it can break a hole in that very fine lining of your fine cellular wall of your small intestines. And undigested foods can slip through these holes. And when that happens, it gets into the blood. Now, at the Raw Food Institute, when I worked in Washington, D.C., I used to have a woman come in to do live blood analysis. And I'm going to try to describe to you what healthy blood should look like. Red blood cells should look like you're blowing bubbles. They should be flowing freely, going bloop, 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 bloop. They should be really beautiful, unless you've been eating too much sugar, high fructose corn syrup, canola oils, cheap rancid oils. And then the red cells become sluggish, and you become sluggish, and they become sticky. The undigested food can look like someone set off fireworks in your blood. There's all these little particles between all the red blood cells. And they're not supposed to be there, also contributing to your fatigue. And then there are the white blood cells. Now, a typical American eats a lot of sugar. And so if a typical American goes to Starbucks or gets a coffee in the morning and puts 3 packets of sugar in, what happens to the white blood cells? For 5 hours, they're completely stunned or immobilized. So the white blood cells, when they're mobilized first thing in the morning, and then you go to the office and somebody brings donuts, and then you go out with your friends for lunch and you have a little bit of pasta, maybe with a little bit of white bread on the table, which, by the way, acts just like a sugar in the body. And then you get hungry in the afternoon and you head out for the candy machine or you get a cookie. Then you go home and you might have a little bit more bread with dinner. And after dinner you might help yourself to some ice cream. And so all day long you're really shutting down your immunity or your white blood cells. They're completely stunned. They're completely immobilized. They cannot clean your blood. And you might know somebody who's one of those people who says, I don't know why, I just get everything that comes my way every winter. Those are the people that are sick all the time. Sinus infections, cold, flu, lung infections, sick all the time. So when we take the sugar out, we can kind of activate the white blood cells again. So back to the leaky gut, I had a young woman who was in her early 20s, a teacher, raised by a good family, but both parents worked and didn't have a lot of time to pay attention to food. And by the time she was in her early 20s, she developed severe leaky gut. And what this meant for her, how it manifested, was that she was unable to properly digest her food, and she would smell like rotting garbage 4 days later. Or, in other words, whatever she ate 4 days before, if she ate Brussels sprouts, she would smell like rotting Brussels sprouts. And I see this commonly with immigrants who come from another country where food is not abundant. They come to our grocery stores, they look around, they see all these beautiful color boxes, they want to try everything, and 3 or 4 years later they find their health in a disastrous situation. And this was true of this young man, 27, from Ethiopia that I was working with. Severe leaky gut, severe, so badly he had open wounds on his back. He was in a government program. He could not even stand in a room full of his peers because they would say, who passed gas? He smelled always like someone passed gas, and he would say to me, Lisa, even when I cry, my tears smell like fecal matter. So this generation sick, you know, I'm talking about 20s and 30s, we're bringing children up on this food. It's not even food. It's the goldfish, it's the sodas, it's the SnackWells. This is not food. And we are bringing an entire generation of people up on this. And we are seeing the consequences. So my question is, what are the consequences of the 6-year-olds, the 8-year-olds, the 10-year-olds now when they go into their teens and their 20s and their 30s? I'm going to track obesity since 1985. This is put out by the CDC. We're going to look at 85 through 2009. When you look at this first page, you can see that obesity rates are under 10% with the light blue, medium blue 10 to 14, dark blue 10 to 15 to 19, orange 20 to 24, I'm sorry, yellow 20 to 24, orange 25 to 29, and over 30 is red. And I'm just going to be silent as I move through these. Now, I can remember the first time I watched that, I think my jaw was on the floor. I was absolutely stunned. This happened in our lifetime, so it feels natural, but it's not natural. This is not natural to be overweight. Animals eating their natural diet in nature. I live in the woods, sort of, and I have all these deer and fox and bear. And the deer and fox and bear are not gray, and they're not bald, and they're not overweight because they're eating their natural diet. And what happens when you stray so far from your natural diet, your body cannot keep up. So what is the #1 food bringing us down? I've already mentioned it. It is sugar. So 100 years ago, how much sugar did the average American eat? The answer is 10 pounds of sugar per person per year. And we were eating a little bit, maybe a piece of pie at Grandma's house on Thanksgiving, but we were not eating massive amounts of sugar. Today, last year, the average American ate how many pounds of sugar? 170 pounds of sugar. It's not about what the food, it's about what we're doing to the food, the chemicals, the preservatives, the additives, the red dyes, the yellow dyes, the orange dyes, the blue dyes. These are carcinogens. So the preservatives, the additives, the rancid oils, these are all contributing to the decline in our health, the rapid decline in our health. So here's my question. You know, you're looking at this salad, and if you're eating the salad, and maybe I'm at my kid's soccer game, you know, somebody's going to look down and they're going to say, oh, disgusting, that's too healthy for me. When did eating a pile of vegetables become weird food? And when did eating a whole pile of chemicals become normal? And how are we able to convince an entire nation that this is possibly remotely okay? Did you know, according to Time magazine, 97% of Americans cannot remember the last time they ate a salad? I think that's shocking. So at the Raw Food Institute, here are the pillars of healing: the juices, the raw and living foods, cultured foods or fermented foods, whole food supplementation, and essential oils. Why do we juice? Well, we are 70% fluid. We have our saliva, we have our blood, we have our lymphatic system, which, by the way, has 3 to 4 times, we have 3 to 4 times the amount of lymphatic fluid than we have blood in our bodies, and we never talk about it. So just briefly, how do we cleanse the blood? We have this great little pump on the left side of our chest. With our heart, of course. How do we cleanse our lymphatic system? We have to pump it. We have to find a chi machine or get on a rebound machine or a vibration plate or go for a run or do lymphatic drainage or do full body massage or a skin brush. But we are responsible for moving our lymphatic system. And if you don't, you're going to clog those filters. You're going to get swollen lymph nodes under your collarbone, your armpit, or your groin area. That's where most of your lymph nodes are. So we are 70% fluid. It is very important to hydrate. Drink water. Drink your green juices. Drink your teas. Juices. I want to talk about juicing for just a second because it's my favorite thing on earth, let me just say. I feel there are two things. You know, if you go to the doctor in Europe for depression, they say go for a walk, move your body. Two things make me happy. Green juice makes me happy, and going to the gym and moving my body, exercise and fitness they're my happy drug. They make me so happy. And a reason for that is because juices, the chlorophyll or the plant blood in juice is the closest thing we've got to the hemoglobin in our blood. And when you know, they used to siphon the water from the coconuts when they didn't have blood transfusions during World War II. They used to use coconut water. When you mix specifically fermented coconut water with green juice, so part coconut water, part green juice, fermented even better, and you drink that, you're literally as close as you can to giving yourself an instant blood transfusion. So people will say to me, well, I would rather blend because I really believe that we need to get the fiber. I'm not suggesting that you pull the fiber out of your food ever. We absolutely need to be eating the sprouts, the living foods, the salads, the wraps, the fiber. But there is no comparison. There is no salad. There is no pill. There is nothing that compares on this green earth to flooding the body with the micronutrients found in one glass of green juice. And I do strongly believe in the Vitamix or a high-speed blender. Those blades spin at 240 miles an hour. What is the part of the plant we most often... No, let me ask you this. What is the most medicinal part of the plant? The roots, the seeds, the skin. What is the part we throw away? The roots, the seeds, the skin. So that part of the plant, those parts of the plants, we can actually put in the Vitamix and break them down to the cellular level. What protects the plant protects us. And some of the most protective antioxidants on this planet, like aloe vera skins, lemon skins, which have sylvestrols and other protective chemicals from cancer, are in tangerine peels and lemon seeds. We can actually now break those down to the cellular level and actually drink those. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make as they transition to raw food, one is eating too many sweets, too many dehydrated foods and nuts. I'll talk about sweets first. So you'll meet somebody and they'll be like, oh, raw food is the greatest thing ever. I'm eating cheesecake, I'm eating cookies, I'm eating tarts. And that's fun. And it blows Oreos away any day of the week. You know, it's certainly upgrading your snacks, but it is not a therapeutic or medicinal program. There is no room, you know, especially when somebody has a cancer diagnosis or heart disease or diabetes, and for a period of time they have to cut out all sugars. There is no room for any sugar, including fruit, in the diet during that therapeutic healing period. So, and that doesn't mean that there's not a fun and appropriate place for this. When you're trying to have friends over, you're introducing your kids to this. You can certainly have a blast with it. I love macaroons, I love raw cookies, I love making this stuff, but it is occasional food, it is not a meal. Dehydrated foods, I certainly see people eating too many dehydrated foods. One example is they'll make a nut burger with a seed cheese and then a nut crust, and then they're holding their tummies. There's just way too many. It's not that they're bad, they're great, but it's just too many at one time. So this is all about you. I really hope, again, that you're enjoying this, that you've got your pen and paper, that you've got your feet kicked back, that you're having a glass of water or some green juice, some tea, and you're really relaxing and enjoying all of this. So some of the benefits of raw food are this. It can aid in cellular repair. It can fight free radicals and cancer cells. It can reduce the risk of heart disease and diabetes. Increase your energy. Anybody want more energy? Nah. Of course, we all want more energy. Better digestion, weight loss. It can clear your body of toxins, built-up toxins. It can improve your skin. Just ask me that. It can help reverse aging. And finally, it's an ethical and sustainable diet. When I walk across my sunroom and I clip my grass or I clip my sprouts, I can feel good that I haven't imported my salad from Argentina or California. It hasn't had to travel 2,000 miles and use lots of petrochemicals to get to my kitchen. Some of the doctors behind raw foods, so we've got on in this slide Dr. Max Gerson, and Dr. Ann Wigmore. I should also have here Dr. Kelly. So Dr. Max Gerson, believe it or not, in like the 30s, the early part of the last century, our country, our nation was deciding what would be the national protocol for cancer. And they were examining certain things, and Gerson therapy was in the running. And Gerson therapy is a fantastic therapy. It did not win. Surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation won, and has been the national protocol ever since. And Dr. Max Gerson was invited to move his institute to Mexico, which is where it has been ever since. Dr. Wigmore, she healed her cancer well over like 54 years ago, and there are many similarities, some differences, some similarities. What I really like about the Wigmore protocol, in addition to all of the green juice, is the addition of the energy soup and the sprouts, or the living foods and the grasses. So I really feel it's a protocol that people can wrap their heads around, they can do. And I love the living food piece. I think that it just adds an edge. And then finally, the third picture that should be here is Dr. Kelly. Dr. Gonzalez, Nicholas Gonzalez, was conventionally trained as an MD and kind of went down to Florida to see what Dr. Kelly was all about, because he'd heard that he was curing lots of people from cancer with these strange things like juice and enemas. Excuse me, I need a drink. And so when he went down there and he started digging into the case studies, he was calling people that had had pancreatic and liver cancer, some of the most challenging cancers, and finding them 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 years out. So he really did the only ethical thing that a really ethical doctor could do, and he stayed and he studied for many years under Dr. Kelly. And Dr. Kelly's passed on, but Dr. Gonzalez still uses the Kelly protocol up in New York City. It's where he lives. So we had some of these original pioneers, and they were great for introducing us to the raw food movement. Now, I will say this. It was very intuitive back then, but now we're starting to get some of the science. So, for example, Dr. Colin T. Campo, author of the China Study, he has dedicated his whole life to studying this. And if you pick up the China Study and go to chapter 6, it talks about turning off cancer. He also talks about, well, he's got many animal studies as well as many human studies as well. I won't kind of spoil the book. I'll let you read it. The other book that I really like is the work of Dr. Joel Fuhrman, author of Super Immunity. And this might be the most important thing that I say. Joel Fuhrman's work has discovered that we are not destined to the genetics that we've inherited from our parents, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles. What his work indicates is that based on what we put in our body, we can literally get in and manipulate or change our own DNA based on the foods that we eat. So this is so thrilling and exciting. This means we are not stuck with the diseases of our parents and our grandparents. We might have genetically inherited that, but we can influence it or change it based on what we put in our body. And I think that is some of the most incredible new information that we have. So my inspiration, this is Linda Zeller that you're looking at. I'm from a small town called Black Duck, Minnesota, 600 people in northern Minnesota. And my friend Linda Zeller healed her cancer. It's actually now been over 20 years ago. She was working in a school exposed to a gas leak. She was a very holistic person to begin with. And when she got colon and ovarian cancer, she did go to Mexico and spend some time at the Gerson Clinic. Now, at the time I heard about that she was choosing not to treat her cancer with surgery, chemotherapy, or radiation, I thought that was the most insane thing I'd ever heard. But then I sort of followed her story through my sister, and I heard that 18 months later she had been declared she was cancer-free. And so when I got into nutrition, I called her and really picked her brain. She's one of the most amazing people I know. She continues to live life, as she refers to herself, as a purist. She doesn't say, I hope one day to be all raw. I hope one day to get this right. She is a purist. She travels, she speaks, she educates all over the country. and she brings her air purifiers, and she knows where all the co-ops are before she even sets foot on a plane. So she's my hero, my inspiration, still cancer-free today. This is a lot of fun. Because health is wealth, raw food is saving lives all over the planet. I want you to meet some rock stars. So the middle picture, I'll start with Peter. He came to see me a while ago. He'd been on every diabetes medication there was except insulin, because you cannot fly an airplane and be on insulin. So Peter, he called me because they said, that's it, you have to go on insulin. His blood sugar, his A1C was 9.4, his blood sugar was 330. I happened to have a Raw Food Institute retreat starting, and he had been grounded, and he had lost, no more pension. You're grounded, you don't have a job, and you don't have a pension. So he called me. He came through the Raw Food Institute. 12 days later, he went back to his doctors. They retested him. His A1C had dropped from 9.4 to 7.2. Now, medically, that is absolutely unheard of. It's my understanding that there is a 90-day lag period. Drugs cannot achieve what raw food achieved in 12 days. His blood sugar dropped from 330 to 110. Admittedly, that's typical. I've never seen a type 2 diabetic come through the Raw Food Institute without completely reversing their diabetes, and in some cases even getting circulation back in their limbs, their feet, that they had lost. You see a photograph on the right of Elaine Gibson. You can also hear her story. I interviewed her. She healed her body naturally from cancer. Stage 4, she'd been given 6 months to live. 100% naturally, as she tells it, she got down on her knees and said, God, I know you don't want me to die. What would you like me to do? She's 68 years old and is the sexiest grandma that I know. Funky, spunky, full of life. She was just out at the... she's a raw food educator. We have a raw food educator course. She is a certified raw food educator. She went on to teach green juice at a wellness practice in the Virginia area. She was just in a documentary, a cancer documentary, spoke out at the the Healing Cancer Summit out in California. And she's a rock star. They're all rock stars, amazing rock stars. Every person you see in the picture on the left, oh, there you see Roger. Roger just came through the last session, and his goal was to walk. He had had a stroke and cancer, stage 4 cancer. His goal was to walk across a room without assistance of his wife. And we had a graduation ceremony 6 days in, almost the second to the last day. And he walked across the room by himself to accept his graduation plaque, or his certificate. His wife sent me an email. His tumors had gone from 19 millimeters down to 15 with raw foods. He'd gone off a couple of his medications. I don't take people off medication or put them on, but he had done that. And that's what he had achieved. And he was actually back to playing golf, which is crazy. So I get to observe miracles happening all the time. I pinch myself all the time. I have the best job on earth. Some people will say, but my grandparents didn't juice, and each generation is getting sicker. We must go deeper into advanced techniques. Our ancestors ate with whole foods and ate with the seasons. What to expect when you detoxify. You can expect some detoxification symptoms, and you might not like the way the juice tastes at first. So you might expect headaches, nausea, diarrhea, body odor, bad breath, tongue coating. Now, some people, as they start to feel lousy, think, oh my gosh, this raw food thing doesn't work for me. The fact is, this raw food thing is working for you. But you sort of have to go through this. The toxins have to exit your body in order to get through them and get to the bliss. So the bliss. My question is, can you achieve a facelift without surgery? And there's a great book on it if you want to read it called Heal Thy Face by Marcus Rothkrantz. I think he's self-published, so you'd have to go to his website, Marcus Rothkrantz, Heal Thy Face. But you can indeed reverse aging and gray hair. You can reverse smile lines and wrinkles. You can, in fact, get back to your high school waistline. I am absolutely living proof of that. Actually, I'm back to my junior high waistline. I was about, I don't know, when I graduated from high school, I was about 118 pounds. I went up and up and up and up. In my college years, in my 20s, I was I was overweight, and definitely now I'm back to right around 100 pounds. And a very fit 100 pounds, I will say. Energetic, you can achieve abundant energy, you can become more clear and focused, motivated, you can enhance your mood, and you can prevent and reverse illness. Green juice is your plumber. You know, in DC, we lived by the Beltway, which was 4-lane highway, and I'll ask this question: what happens when a 4-lane highway goes down to a 2-lane highway? It gets backed up, sometimes for miles, sometimes for hours, and it gets backed up. People are late, flower deliveries are late, you're late for your dinner appointment, you're late, you're late, you're late. Congestion, smog, all kinds of things happen when traffic gets backed up. Now the same is true of your intestines. So if you have stuck on fecal matter, perhaps for years, that's backed up, it's going to show up in your face. So if we take a look at Chinese medicine, if you're one of those people with deep lines, deep worry lines between your eyes, this is absolutely an indication that your liver is congested. And we need to know how to start reading our bodies, because our bodies are sending us messages. Under our eyes, if we have dark circles or, it's sunken in, dark circles, that's an indication that our liver is congested. If your nose is kind of veiny, red, inflamed, this is an indication, this is on the direct meridian to your heart. You need to have your heart examined, looked at. If you have rosacea on the cheeks, this is an indication that you have something going on in your stomach. Perhaps you have low stomach acid or hydrochloric acid. You might be experiencing acid reflux, something like that. Something is up with your stomach. The lower part of your cheeks, if you've got pigmentation, it might be an indication that your lungs, something is up with your lungs. I have that pigmentation. I lived with smokers for 18 years. If you look at your nails and you see little white flecks, that is absolutely a mineral deficiency. So you definitely need probably some magnesium, some potassium, some zinc. You might want to get a really high quality mineral. They're inexpensive. You can buy them online and just drop that into your drinking water. Our soils are so deficient, we really need to go back and add minerals to our water to get the adequate number of minerals. Enzymes. I get super excited about enzymes. I won't spend a bunch of time on it today. But we have hundreds of enzymes in the body, but if we break them into two major categories, we have digestive enzymes and metabolic enzymes. Digestive enzymes, if you can all chew for me right now, what happens? You create saliva, and in that saliva you have free enzymes. But we skip chewing, sort of, because we're eating in the car, and we're eating standing up, and we're eating on the go. So we really want to chew our food and use our digestive enzymes, and if you're not breaking down your food, you're going to need to supplement with digestive enzymes. doTERRA makes a fantastic enzyme to help you break down your food. And if you're spending money and you're not absorbing your food, it's not doing you any good. So you might need a transitional period of enzymes. Then we've got the metabolic enzymes, which are produced in the pancreas, which is why pancreatic cancer is one of the most serious. Because if the pancreas is compromised, all of your other organs are compromised because it can't get the protective enzymes from the pancreas. Enzymes are absolutely essential for life. All right, so when you start detoxifying and you start feeling lousy and your tongue gets coated and you get a headache and you get grumpy, you can help enhance your detox by exercising, using a rebounder, skin brushing, using enemas and implants, saunas, and bathing. All of these things are going to expedite or speed up your recovery process, help you through the detoxification process. Skipping them is a big mistake. Saying, nah, I'm going to drink the green juice, I'm going to fast, but I'm not going to do that stuff. Big, major mistake. We really, really need to do this to help expedite this process. Otherwise, you're just feeling sick longer. So what about organics? Let me see if I have a slide on this. Yeah, here we go. All right, so conventional food, and you go into the grocery store, it says conventional or organic. Conventional is just a pretty word for poison. We have sprayed poison on your food. I'm going to give you a visual. If I make a beautiful salad full of sprouts, goji berries, hemp seeds, chia seeds, sesame seeds, and I make two, one for me and one for you, and I say to you, which one would you like? Oh, but before you decide, and I reach under the table and I take my bottle of Raid and I spray it all over the one on the left, and then I say, okay, now which one would you like? Of course, you're going to choose the one I didn't spray Raid all over. Just because we don't see it being sprayed does not mean that it hasn't been sprayed. They're telling us, we sprayed it with pesticides, we sprayed it with poison, it's called conventional. They've told you. So the next is organic, which means it hasn't been sprayed. And by the way, all crops are sprayed on average of about 10 times per growing season. Farmers markets and CSA, so buying local is important. My farmer is an organic farmer, Darren Hall at the Hall Farm. Love the Hall Farm. Biodynamic farms means that the farms are actually cooperating with nature. They're following lunar cycles. They're remineralizing the soil. They're becoming biodynamic and actually giving back to the earth. Why is this important? Because 1 carrot is actually the nutritional, takes 14 carrots to get the nutritional equivalency of 1 carrot back in the 1950s. So our food is kind of devoid of nutrients because we're not rotating crops and remineralizing the earth. Then finally we have wild foods. Now I like this picture here because we have this, if you have a garden, you're out in your garden and you're singing to your plants and you're saying, you're so pretty, and you're playing music and you're talking to them and you're watering them. But if you have a wild edible, nettles, plantains, dandelion, out in your yard, there's nobody watering, there's nobody saying, you're so pretty, I love you, there's nobody singing. So that wild plant is responsible for itself, and sometimes that little orphan, in order to get a drink of water, has to go over 150 feet into the earth. Can you imagine the minerals in that wild edible? So I urge you, wherever you live, to find somebody like Wildman Steve Brill. Find somebody that knows your local wild edibles who can take you out and introduce you to 20 plants or so that you can go out and start harvesting, because knowing what wild edibles, pine pollen, for example, is something you can do. Here where I live in Connecticut, they have, on my bike trail in late August, the most amazing Concord grapevine. So if you see somebody like with the bike thrown in the bushes with grape juice all over her face, that would be me. Chaga mushrooms, reishi mushrooms, knowing some of your edible tree mushrooms, going out with an expert and learning what you can harvest in your area is a fantastic idea. Oh, and it's free. Like when it's dandelion season, my husband will go cut the lawn, and I'll be like, wait, I haven't collected dandelions yet. Let's lunch. Or you can go down to the local restaurant and spend $14, or you can make it yourself. So levels of raw. In the healing period, you want to stay on the upper side of this: medicinal raw, grasses, sprouts, superfoods. Superior. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me start from the beginning. Let's go down to the bottom. Let's start at recreational raw. These are your fun foods, your sweets, your fruits, your dates, your agave, your honey, which I don't recommend agave, by the way, but your agave is in that category. Then we go up one, and it's sensible raw. So this is improperly combined fruits and vegetables together. So it might be a spinach, strawberry salad. So you're putting vegetables and fruits together. One of the worst food combinations, by the way, is starch and a meat. You don't want to be eating meat and potatoes. It's improperly combined. It was never intended to be eaten together. If you eat meat, vegetables and meat. If you eat starch, starch and vegetables. But you never ever put a starch and a meat together. It's just improperly combined and will be kind of a disaster in the long run for digestion. Then we have superior raw, your dark leafy greens and greens high on the ORAC scale, which is a measure of antioxidants. Then we have medicinal raw, your grasses, your sprouts, and your superfoods. I'm not going to spend a lot more time here. I usually talk about the ORAC scale and stuff like that. But at the Raw Food Institute, the two upper ones are where we spend 100% of our time. Oh, the fun part. All right, so at the Raw Food Institute, like I said, we use a lot of essential oils. And I want to tell you certain ways that we use them. So, this is the most fun thing we do. We just started doing it. At the end of every day, we have an edible face mask bar. So people can go through. You are, by the way, doing enemas and implants twice a day at the Raw Food Institute, cleansing the colon for good reason. You get a skin brush, so you can skin brush while you're doing your enema. I like multitasking, if you haven't noticed. And at the same time you're doing all that, you have your edible face mask on. So some of the combinations, for example, we might have, I love doing one that's, I put this in the Vitamix, by the way, cucumber, chlorella, and bentonite clay. Also, we could add to that the frankincense, followed up with the immortelle. So we like to do a lot of the edible face masks. Now, frankincense for the face, well, those are my two favorite, immortelle and the frankincense. Frankincense, I'll bring it up right now. I have this, it's called Herbal Face Food, and we sell it at the Raw Food Institute on our website. I teamed up with somebody from California, you know, a friend of mine. He'd introduced me to it years ago, and I paid no attention to it because I get approached with a lot of products. And then I finally decided to try it again. It's called Herbal Face Food. Ridiculous results when I rotate that with frankincense and immortelle. Like, okay, I have destroyed my skin since the age of 13 with really harsh chemicals. Benzoyl peroxides, 10%. I mean, I was going to the drugstore saving my money so I could buy a $5 bar of this in the 8th grade. I've been on Accutane 4 times. I had cystic purple acne coming through my skin. So acne has been my challenge. And I was really afraid to make this leap of faith because since the age of 13, I've been destroying my face trying to dry it out so that it wouldn't break out. And guess what? It didn't work. Or it would work in a limited capacity. And I was really, 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 really scared to put oils on my face. But I did it. I started putting coconut oil, antimicrobial, antibacterial. It is the only moisturizer I can put on my face. The only. I can't even go to the top places and pay top dollar in the whole nation. There are too many chemicals in that stuff. So frankincense, immortelle, and the Herbal Face Food in rotation will give you in your 40s and 50s and beyond the most beautiful, exquisite skin. It can reverse your wrinkles. I am a testimony to that. It can reverse your age spots. I'm a testimony to that. It is one of the most incredible things that we do. Adding oils to your water, you guys have probably all seen, you know, where it breaks down petrochemicals, meaning you put it on the styrofoam cup, it eats a hole in it. I love that. I do that over and over and over and never get bored looking at it myself. Because here's the thing. If it can break down petrochemicals and something that's going to sit in a landfill for millions of years, it goes in your body and it breaks down petrochemicals. Sheryl Crow was the first person publicly, celebrity, to bring this to light, that in her breast cancer they found plastics. So what I love about simply adding lemon to your water is it can be a detoxifier. It can go in and cleanse your cells and escort out the petrochemicals. One of my favorite things. I was teaching a Vitamix show years ago, and a gentleman came up and said Vitamix saved his life. And he started talking about tangerine peel. And he would take a whole tangerine and put it in the Vitamix and drink it down. And it got rid of his cancer. Lymphoma and leukemia in 6 months. I didn't know anything about this. I started really looking at the research. There's a lot of it coming out of England. It's because there are sylvesterols of the resveratrol cousin family, sylvesterols and other powerful chemicals in the peels of the citrus family that have a positive effect or a neutralizing effect on atypical or cancerous or rogue cells. So getting the citrus family oils in is incredibly important around our house. We're always adding the orange oils, the lemon oils, the grapefruit oils, the citrus oils. Love, 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 love. Now, Slim and Sassy, I know that's the metabolic blend, but you know what? It's my favorite as far as If anybody's even coming down with a sore throat, that blend, I found personally in my family, is one of the most powerful blends of antioxidants that we have. It's the one that I bring on the plane. I know there's On Guard, and everybody loves the On Guard. Slim and Sassy's mine. I was in New York City. We were seeing some theater at the holidays with my kids. Day one, my daughter gets a sore throat. Open up, Slim and Sassy, right under the tongue, 2 drops, wake up in the morning. How's your throat, baby? Totally gone. So Slim and Sassy, I know, again, it's the metabolic blend, and that's cool. But for me, that blend is really, really powerful when it comes to immunity. Easing emotions. When you detoxify, you also start to detoxify emotionally, and this is sort of unexpected when my retreat goers are coming through. They don't expect for all these emotions to come up. They don't expect to be crying all the time, and it happens. It definitely, absolutely happens. So using the diffusers for the emotional piece, putting things on their feet so they're grounded, like balance, serenity. Very, very powerful. Diffusing it into the air. I had it going this morning at the Raw Food Institute. Actually, I had the On Guard going this morning. The On Guard makes me happy. A lot of them just make me happy. Emergency kits. If you are nauseous, you definitely go right to the desk and you get one of the peppermint beads. That is going to take your nausea away. It happens almost instantly. If you have a headache, we do 2 things. You're going to take white willow, which is a natural herb. It's a precursor, what they make aspirin out of. You can buy it at Whole Foods. Or you can use past tense for your headaches. Past tense, the wintergreen, is so gentle. I've tried peppermint too. I don't know, I guess for people that have migraines, they might prefer the peppermint. I like the past tense. It is gentle, but highly effective. My husband has his own bottle because he gets headaches. He's a pilot. He keeps it with him for flying. On Guard, clearly for immune boosting. We keep the On Guard gel tablets, especially in the wintertime. Wow, were people popping those. When people come through in the wintertime, some of our, the emergency kit, something that they can do, they can order from the kitchen a blend, 1 cup of water, 1 clove of garlic, and twice that amount of ginger. They whip that up in the Vitamix and they can sip on that. If they're really sick, we'll make a whole quart and they can just sip on it throughout the day. And then they're also at the same time popping their On Guard. Throughout the day, clearly, like I mentioned, we use the diffuser. I let the participants pick what they're in the mood for, if they want to kind of chill at the end of the day with some lavender, if they want to be perked up with some On Guard, whatever they're in the mood for. Deep Blue, oh my gosh, I love the roll-on. When I take the roll-on and we're about to do Healing Circle or something that's going to be very emotional, if I take it and pass it around and all the participants roll it down the spine of their back, what I notice that it does is it just goes and it gently, it's almost like a massage, it just gently puts them at ease, relaxes all of the muscle tissue on either side of the spine. So I do love the roll. Of course, I love the deep blue rub and all that kind of stuff. But the roll-on, there's something magical about rolling it down the spine and just letting it kind of massage itself into the tissues around the spine. Frankincense is really cool. The last retreat I had a dermatologist through, and she would look at people's faces and she could tell. She'd say, "Yep, that's a precancerous something or other going on," and several of the participants had precancerous spots on their forehead, their nose, their hand. And they put the frankincense on it all week long, and we noticed that these were dramatically diminishing, changing, and going away in a very short period of time. I was just out in California, and my daughter, she's a gymnast, and she had a wart, a black, large wart on the bottom of her foot. And I said, well, honey, there's this thing called Curaderm. It's a fermented eggplant and vinegar solution that you can put on warts and things like basal cells and squamous cells. And I said, wait till we get back and I'll make this solution and I'll put it on for you. But in the meantime, go ahead and put some frankincense oil on, because of course I don't go anywhere without my kit. And 3 days later, the bottom of her foot healed. Like it had fallen off, gone, and healed. So ridiculous when it comes to warts and, suspicious things going on with the skin. And I'm not suggesting you don't see your doctor, but in the meantime, Slap the frankincense on. For in-tune, for focus, using things like peppermint, wild orange can increase your brain function. And we're also doing things like auricular therapy, doing certain motions with the earlobes to help increase your focus at the same time. So if you just want to massage your ears with peppermint or wild orange, you can really focus. And it's a great thing to teach kids to do right before they take a test. It can just open up their focus. Dry skin brushing, absolutely essential to put you only need 1 drop. So 1 drop of oil on your dry skin brush, and that's going to help you exfoliate. It's going to improve your circulation. You're doing little circles toward the heart, and that's just going to get rid of some of that dead skin so that you can continue to detoxify through the skin. In your bath, you definitely want to put Epsom salts. So I like a cup of Epsom salts, a cup of baking soda. I like Slim and Sassy. This is going to be a hot bath. You definitely want some coconut oil in here. You don't want to put oils in your bath or you will burn yourself if you don't put your carrier oil. So some Slim and Sassy, some freshly sliced ginger is going to be a spicy bath. And I mean, your skin's going to feel it. Sleeping well, definitely lavender on the pillows. So our first aid kit is the doTERRA box at the Raw Food Institute. And of course with the peppermint beads and the On Guard beads and things like that. But this is our medicine. I love this so much because I've worked in a medical practice for so many years. I am a holistic cancer researcher. I can't prescribe. I shouldn't be able to prescribe. I'm not an MD. But you know what? As a mom, I can prescribe. I can prescribe oils now. I can prescribe plants. And that makes me feel good. It makes me feel empowered, and it makes me feel empowered to share it with people. What we put on our skin is important. It will bypass the organs and will be delivered directly into the blood. So only put on your skin something that you would put in your body. I don't wear deodorant. I haven't worn deodorant in years and years and years. You don't want to be putting deodorants and antiperspirants. You don't want to stop your sweating. You're supposed to sweat first of all. And when you don't sweat, you can stop up the lymphatic system. You can get toxins trapped up there. Most of the breast cancers that are diagnosed in the upper quarter of the breast, right under the armpit. So if I put something up there, I might put some colloidal silver. I might put, or more importantly, essential oils. I'll put like a drop of coconut oil, and then whatever essential oil I'm feeling drawn toward that day. So I might put some orange oil, some lemon oil, just whatever I'm in the mood for. Building lean muscle with plants, getting better with every decade is my goal. So what do I do to achieve this? I use classes like Body Pump. I use supplements like alpha-lipoic acid. I'm not going to get into that, but it's one of the things that I use to heal my Graves' disease. Garlic extract for lean muscle mass. And by the way, after alpha-lipoic acid is just crazy. It has the ability to regenerate tissue, including liver, including kidney, including thyroid, which is what I used it for. After about 5 months on the alpha-lipoic acid, I looked down at my body and I had achieved lean muscle mass that I'd never been able to achieve before. And that, again, was done with using the alpha-lipoic acid. I also use green juice therapy. I use wheatgrass. I use cold shower therapy. Look into what I'm talking about, cold baths, ice baths. I did it because I'm petite and I was always cold in the wintertime. But again, it's a technique used by a lot of athletes to achieve lean muscle mass. I did a 30-day test period back in 2007 of finishing my shower with 60 seconds of cold water. And I don't just stand there, by the way. I couldn't just stand there. I'm also massaging the back of my thighs, trying to stimulate that so I can improve the blood circulation and reduce cellulite. I'm doing my deep breathing at that exercise. So I look kind of funny in the shower. Admittedly, it's on cold for 60 seconds, and I'm going, and I'm doing several sets of 10 while I'm doing this. So that's my weird little trick. But you know what? I started doing it, like I said, to keep warm. I didn't realize that I was stimulating my circulatory system, my lymphatic system, and I was also contributing to lean muscle mass, which is a very cool thing. Your kitchen is your pharmacy. This is my kitchen. Actually, it's my sunroom just off my kitchen. Have some fun with it. Make it pretty. Get some jars, get some labels, and use your kitchen. I'm excited to have brought this to you. This is not about willpower. This is about skill power. I am the daughter of 2 smokers that own Dairy Queens. I was overweight. I had dubious breast lumps, and I had cystic acne, and I had Graves' disease. And if I can do this, anybody can do this. Okay. I'm going to leave with this story because this is how I started, so I want to wrap it all back into the beginning. I said in the beginning that this is really not about the food. It's about living your best life. So I decided when I was invited to this talk to share a personal story with you. And it's about my daughter. Her name is Harper. She's 10 now, but when she was 7, it was just before Christmas. It was December 23rd, and I climbed into bed to say goodnight to her. And on this night, she became the mother or the adult, and I became the daughter. She very seriously looked me in the eye like an angel, put her little hands on my cheeks, and this is what she said to me. She said, "Mommy, when I was in heaven with God, I picked you." She said, "I looked at a lot of other mommies. I couldn't see you. I actually went in through your eyes, and I looked at your heart, and I picked you. And you should be very proud of that, and I love you." And I got up and I went into my room and I wrote it down so I would remember it forever. But I want you to know that you are listening to this tonight. It's not by chance. You are listening because someone is with you right now. They are looking you in the eye. They're holding on to you, looking you in the eye and saying, "I picked you. I love you. And you should be very proud of that." Okay, I'm going to sum it up. I want to again thank you so much for being on this call. If you are interested in the internship, Brianne is going to come on and tell you about that, the oil internship. The Raw Food Institute, if you're interested in the Raw Food Institute, you're welcome to call the number on the screen or visit our website, therawfoodinstitute.com. I only mention that because please don't call the Raw Food Institute with oil calls. My staff, with essential oil questions and about the internship, my staff is not prepared to take those questions. So if you would like to sign up for the essential oil presentation, I urge you to do that. It is a fantastic thing to do for your family and for your health. So Brianne will be coming on to tell you about that. Thank you again so much for being on the call. It's been a brilliant evening. It's been a brilliant time with you. I've enjoyed every single second of it, and I hope that you've enjoyed this past hour too. Have a great day.